Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions Podcast. My name is Russell Osborne, and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. I hope I find you well. Now, a little while back, I mentioned that I had been quiet of late on the podcast front, but I was working on some recordings behind the scenes. Now, this is one of them, and hopefully the first of a series. Well, it will be a series. As I've said in the past, I always enjoy chatting with fans about their journeys following England. We all have similar experiences, but they're all individually different, tailored to ourselves. Now, before I get into this one, please let me just say you can follow the show on social media. Just search Three Lions Podcast, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube too. Plus, however you tune in to the show, why not give it a rating on that platform? Be it Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, once again. There's various ways of listening. Give it a rating that you think it deserves. It really helps with getting the show out there, and it is always appreciated. Go on, I'll give you a moment. Just find where you're listening to it on. Yeah, there it is. Just hit that thumbs up or 5 stars, whatever. I'll give it a nice little message. Okay, that's done. Let's move on to this episode. Following England, home or away. If you've only done it once, or if you've done it 50 or 100 times, I can guarantee you'll relate to some of the stories you are about to hear. Some of you may know my guest, and he's going to be joining me for a series of his adventures over the years. I know you're going to enjoy them. I'm delighted to welcome to the podcast Chelsea and England fan Robert Didd, who's been watching England for many years now, and he's got a fair few stories to tell. Some of you may know him, some of you may have read about him. He's appeared in various books over the years, but I'm hoping to have a few episodes here where we can really delve a bit deeper into some of those stories. Robert, you all right?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Good. Is it Robert or is it Rob?
I don't care as long as it ain't any swear word you want to use.
Rob, welcome along, mate. Been following England for some time now, haven't you?
Yeah, since 86 at home, 87 away.
And still going, still enjoying it?
Yeah, still going to all the games. There was periods when I didn't go to every game, but I'm on a fairly few years run at the moment. So,
well, people will if they're aware of you, they'll know that you've got. I don't know. Is it an official record or is it an unofficial record? It's your record of how many games unbeaten, not unbeaten, but unbroken. Have you seen England?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've done 222 games without missing a game. And at the time, it has been since broken, but at the time, it was sort of the official, unofficial record because you couldn't have gone to Saudi. There was no one who got to Saudi. And then it was the 222 games after that.
Right.
So literally, and if you went back from 88, back 20 years, it would have been 68, and there was no one travelling to every game then. So it was sort of, at the time, it was a sort of official, unofficial record that I'd put the word out and no one could beat it or no one could equal it. And It lasted for 10 years as far as I know, and now it's been beaten.
Do you know who's beaten it?
Yeah, it's a geezer from Worcester, and I can't think what his name is actually, which would be very embarrassing when I speak to him next.
We'll find that out. We've got hopefully plenty of episodes for you to find out. Yeah.
Edit that bit out and we'll put the name in.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, take us back to before you started following England. How did the interest in football come about? And how did like Chelsea come about?
Well, for a third generation Chelsea fan, my granddad, my dad, and then me. My dad used to live on the King's Road, Stones Road from the ground. And so he used to go in the 50s and that. And then, like a lot of people that had to work, people work Saturdays till 12, 1 o'clock. He'd done Fulham 1 week, Chelsea the next week. And then he sort of, took me in the 70s. And I was very small and didn't like it. I had big crowds in them days, so I was a bit scared.
And
it soon tallied off, though, down in the 80s. But then I started going in 83, 84. He took me again, and I really enjoyed it. And then I started going on my own to the home games, and then I think we went to the 3 London home games that season. Then I started going away the following season, and then that was the start of an 11-year Chelsea run.
Which, do you know how many games that was?
575 games that was.
Wow, 575 Chelsea games. Superb effort.
Well, 11 seasons without missing one, that was.
The stats you must have.
On top of that, the following season after that, I started doing all the friendlies away. Any friendlies that I could find out about, Scandinavia, all over Europe, any friendlies. I was going all the friendlies. And then just to make it a little bit harder, I was doing every reserve home game, and I was getting to about 75% of the reserve away games, as well as, FA Cup and FA Youth Cup and Southern Junior Floodlit Cup and all that all over the country. So literally, I think one season I've done like 130 England and Chelsea games in one season.
Good grief. That's what's that? It's going to be one every 3 days or something, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 a week roughly.
Yeah. Wow.
I think there was a case in the 80s that I'd done sort of like 6 games in 6 days, where it was sort of like the Chelsea game at home on the Saturday, a 1970 team had reformed to play a friendly on the Sunday, FA Youth Cup away to Leicester on the Monday, the reserves on the Tuesday, the first team again on the Wednesday, and then the replay of the Leicester FA Youth Cup on the Thursday. That was a bit unusual in the 80s when you play that many games.
Well, yeah. And then like you throw England into the mix. How did you sort of decide, I want to follow England as well?
Well, it was a progression. Home games, then home and away games, and then all the friendlies. And to be fair, the first few years we'd only played like around the British Isles, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, West Country. And then I met a bloke in Scotland and was playing Hibs away, Chelsea friendly. I got talking to him, and he had been doing England a few years at that point. But his itinerary for 1986 was January Egypt away, February Israel away, March Tbilisi away. Then I think they played Finland, and then he went to the World Cup in Mexico for 6 weeks. And I thought, I fancy a bit of this, I thought I could do some of this, and so I started going with him. And that's why for the first 10 years, I'd done every game with him. And so I didn't think anything of it when I had a 10-year run. It was only when he stopped. And then I started asking around who's got a longer run. And there didn't seem to be anyone around.
So the first England game was Northern Ireland at home, I believe, in 86.
Yeah, October 86, yeah.
And that was with this, who is this guy then? Do you want to name check him?
Yeah, Gary Blasey. He hasn't gone for years, but he was good mate. Still a good mate of mine actually. When I do see him,
yeah.
But I think I didn't really start actually travelling with him until a couple of years later. When you can sort of line up your ducks and get in touch and where are you going, and I was just doing it all on my own to start with.
Because obviously back then there was clearly communication was a lot harder. I mean, these days you can just open up your phone that's in your hand and just ping a message across to the other side of the world, across the other side of the country, wherever you need to, and you can organise things. But back then, it's clearly a lot harder to, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing how. In them days, obviously, you arranged to meet someone at the station or whatever, and you just literally had to stay there until they turned up or you'd given up.
A lot of trust.
Yeah, a lot of trust, really. And you obviously get to know people that will be a little bit late and things like that.
Right,
But
yeah.
when we went abroad, it was like putting a magnet on the bar in the thing, and everyone's somehow turned up at that pub, but no one knew where that pub was. People must have been walking around for hours to find the pub because it used to always be packed. One pub used to be packed when there was only sort of 200 travelling.
No Irish. Well, I don't know. Were there Irish bars back then?
I'm sure there must have been.
I'd never really thought about that. I didn't know if Irish bars were a thing back then. But obviously now you go past an Irish bar on an England away, and there's usually plenty of flags hanging about. I guess back then, well, there must have been flags outside of bars that you think, right, well, this is the one to go to.
Yeah, I don't know how it worked. We just turned up and found somewhere to go for a drink. But yeah, I mean the likes of when you think about the first games like Turkey away, we played a few times, and Yugoslavia in Belgrade and Israel. It's not really sort of your tourist destinations where you're sort of going to get loads of pubs anyway.
No, true.
I mean, Spain might be a bit different, but yeah, on the whole, you wouldn't get that many sort of any pub, let alone Irish pubs.
Mm. Well, you mentioned Spain there. That was your first away in '87.
Yeah, February '87. So sort of like spoken to me mate the summer before, and that was the first away game apart from Sweden just after I left school. I didn't go to that. And I thought, well, I've been travelling all over the country. It can't be that hard to get to Spain on the train.
Well, hang on a minute. You said you just left school. So how old were you then?
I left in the summer of '86. So I was literally 17. I stayed on a year, so I was 17.
17 and heading to Spain. Go on and carry on, yeah.
Yeah, so I was on the sort of like, I thought, I've been travelling all over the country. How hard can it be to get to Spain on the train? So I thought, someone told me, it's 24 hours on the train. I thought, that's fair enough. I'll just, get the train to Paris. I didn't realise at the time you had to change stations in Paris.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but that would have been a little bit of a problem. But I would have come over it. But I was reading the Evening Standard. It was like Spain versus England, £225, match ticket included with Ross Travel. And I thought, this is the ticket. That's ideal, ain't it?
Yeah.
So I just phoned him up, paid the money, and I started going with Ross Travel. And I was sort of like, I'd say 17. I think the next youngest on the trip was like 26, so they run us together.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few on the trip. But I just started going with Ross Travel. Done quite a few trips with him over the next year or so. Northern Ireland, Turkey, West Germany.
Was that in the build up to the Euros of '88?
Yeah, Euros. Yeah,
which
that was the thing. The Yugoslavia is like when we was in Belgrade just recently. How many people have done the '87 and the recent game? There was a few about, but it's not. The numbers are going down and down.
Of course, yeah. Yugoslavia being a country then, and Serbia now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But to actually see England play in Belgrade the two games, that's quite a few years apart, ain't it? Nearly.
That's 40 odd years, I guess, isn't it?
87, 97, 2007, 17, 27. Yeah, near enough. Not far short of 40 years.
Yeah. And say there wasn't so many people who'd done both.
I wouldn't. A few of my mates had, but not. A few of the faces that have been going for donkey's years have done it, but there weren't that many.
Obviously, then, yeah, '88 was the Euros, and of the times was the hooligan issue, wasn't there, following England? And I know that tournament as well had its fair share. Yeah, not that I often want to go down the hooligan route and talking about it, but you must have seen a few things.
Oh, I mean, it was every game. I think you saw something. And I think you sort of. There was signs. If there was loud singing in a bar, we go somewhere else, because eventually either the police will attack you or the locals will. So it was sort of like, let's just keep away out the way. I mean, sometimes you had to sort of like go as a group for safety reasons, but on the thing, it happened most places, and you just knew what the telltale signs were. I mean, I don't really like talking about the hooligans and all that, because it's, it happened and it was there. No one liked it, and it was just one of them things that if you wanted to go, you had to sort of deal with it somehow, however you dealt with it.
Yeah. You've come away. Have you come away unscathed in all this time?
Yeah.
You've been one of the lucky ones, or just not looking for it.
No, just not looking for it, and also basically, I'm still running marathons now, so I must have been able to get away quickly on my toes when I was in my 20s.
So I mean that tournament '88 was a disaster, pretty much, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was at college at the time. I'd started work as an electrician, and I was doing college exams, and so I was sort of doing block release and things like that. And in I think the first year, by the end of '87, I was like done a mock, and I was sort of like, the first year I'd sort of like top three in the group, and then because I learned it all at school doing the O levels, and then a year later I'd failed the mock miserably. I was like third from bottom in the group or something like that. And I just joked it off and said, I didn't want to do the exam in June anyway. England are playing in the Euros. So word got about, and basically the old governor said, if you're not there at the exam, then you're sacked. I thought, oh, dear me. So when the fixtures come out, it was a day after the Republic of Ireland. The Republic of Ireland was on the Sunday and the exam was on the Monday morning. So I've had to do a mad jet out of the ground, jump in a taxi, get all the way to the airport and fly home to get back for this exam in the morning.
Right.
But I did rub it in and put the program on the desk, like, you know what I mean? Just to say, you can't beat me.
I mean, I think what we're going to find out with these chats that we're going to have is, whilst obviously it's all around the England games, it's not really about the games. It's about the experience around the games and the stories that you've got. I mean, we may not talk about who scored for England and what actually happened in the games. It's just more the experiences, which England fans, well, fans of any football team, be it domestic or international, will all well know the stories around the games, won't they?
Oh, we all go to the games. We watch the games. We watch the goals and remember the scores and all that. But they're just statistics. Like I think a story when you might know when we played in Bratislava in about 2002. We was there. It had been raining non-stop for about 3 or 4 days, and the game looked as if it was going to be in doubt. Everyone's in the pub, and these were the first days of everyone having mobiles, and Sky Sports had it on, and it announced on Sky Sports that it was on, and all the phones in the pub went off. All the mates back home saying, "Oh, the game's on, and there was a whole collective. Oh no, we've actually got to go to the game, And when you think of you could pay it 24 hours later, which most people are flying home, so you're going to miss the game. You could come back in the spring. That's going to cost you another £300 to £500, whatever it costs you. But people didn't want to go to the game. They'd rather sit in the pub.
Yeah.
And I think that really said it all to me that, it is all about the trip.
Yeah.
And the football's just a little sideline.
Yeah.
I mean, my mum, she didn't understand all the hooliganism and all that in the day, but she knew pretty soon that the 90 minutes of football was the worst part of the trip.
You're not the first, and you won't be the last to say that.
Well, especially in the 80s when we was rubbish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after the Euros of '88, and whilst you are on a run of what was it, probably 20 odd games, it came to a game being played in Saudi Arabia, away to Saudi, November of '88, and it's one that you targeted, but it just didn't come off, did it?
Well, obviously, I was trying to do every single game, and I sort of, I said to myself, I want to do every single game, and this game come up. But we were supposed to be playing Morocco away up until 3 weeks before. My mate Gary had just booked it, so I was just about to book Morocco away, and it swapped to Saudi literally 3 weeks before the game. So, you're trying to scramble to get, visas and things like that, and trying to get, well, where's the embassy? How do I get to the embassy? And how do I get this visa and all this? And it soon, I got the form and that. It just turned out that you had to be literally working there. You had to be visiting relatives or in transit to another country, and you just couldn't actually get away around it. People said, years afterwards that you could have, been sponsored to go and things like that. But I literally booked up a trip, 630 quid, flight, hotels, and then tried to get a visa, and I just couldn't get a visa for love nor money. And people were saying it could have been sponsored, but it took time. We only had 3 weeks. You phone up the embassy, no one speaks English, and it was I even tried to contact the FA and said, can I pay the $5,000 and go on Concord with the team?
Right.
There was a very sharp answer, and it wasn't yes. So, but I did try my hardest to get to Saudi, but it just didn't happen. Which was, up until I'd done it in the World Cup recently, when we went Qatar, I went to Saudi. That had been a bane in my life for God knows how many years. 40 years, is it enough
to tick off Saudi?
Yeah, tick off Saudi. Ones that beat me.
So that was the end of one run, but it was basically it was the start of another, wasn't it? It was the start of the 222.
Yeah, that was the first one. Greece away the following February,
right,
in Athens, obviously. So that was the first one, and then again the second game was Albania. This was another question: how many people have done all three Albanias? 89, 2001, and the recent one.
Well, there can't have been many of you.
There was only 137 originally.
Right.
So, there was a lot more in 2001 than this time, but the first one, 137, and it's a long time ago. You've got to be a fair age to be going in 89.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you go to these places in a sort of a 89 and then 2025, November of 2025 last year. You see the differences in these places.
Oh, dear. I mean, Albania's the best example. Right? Anyone who went this time, there was millions of cars in the country. Back in 1989, they was saying if you stood in the main square in Tirana, which was by that hotel, which is now pedestrianised, but it was literally a crossroads, and that was the one. There was the only traffic light in the whole country.
Right.
And they reckon you could stand in the middle of that road at rush hour and then not get run over because there was so few cars.
Right.
You had something like you had to employ 50,000 people to own a car. So all the cars were just government based, and the trucks were transporting the food, and that was it.
The rest was just horse and carts.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at it now. God, I think there's something like 2 million cars or something like that, weren't there?
Well, I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was fairly busy last year. Yeah, but I mean, because one of those games was it Northern Wisdom was turned out on the pitch for, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. That was the 2001 one, I think.
I was like that one.
Yeah, but he's like really famous over there because they have like 50 years behind the Iron Curtain or whatever. That's the only films they saw for a while. In the dark ages.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's similar to what was it? Mr. Bean is now shown around in a similar fashion in some countries, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, I can well believe that. Yeah.
Well, that game, 89, and then sort of we moved towards. It's a qualifying game for the 90 World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Greece was a friendly, and that was a World Cup qualifier.
Right. I mean, 1990 for me was when I first really remember. I just about remember 88, but I do remember 1990, Italia 90, and watching it on the telly, the colours, the Nessun Dorma, and all that went with it. Getting to the semi-final, crying in my parents' house as we go on out
How old was
on
you?
penalties. I would have been
25.
no. I think I was 11. I was 11 turning
Yeah, I know.
12. Something like that.
Crying in your parents' house. You're 25. Wait.
Shush. But 1990. The story. Well, let me just tell people we've previously met and spoken about a few things, and so I know some of the stories that you're going to tell me here about how you got around Italy, the back and forth and all that. But there's a couple of games that people may not be aware of that happened prior to the World Cup that once again you were there. There was a couple of friendlies, weren't there?
Yeah, there was an official one in Tunisia, which was on a weekend or Saturday, so everyone went to that. But in either side of that, on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, either side of that, they played in two other games. They played Cagliari 11, which the manager was Ranieri, and
that's a Chelsea link as well, wasn't he? He was Chelsea manager,
and they'd just been promoted. And then they played the Tunisia game, and then they played on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. They played halfway up the island against the Sardinia 11, which has been classed as the forgotten friendly, basically. And a little Zola played in that game.
Right. Who would have been, really young. I mean, you say...
Yeah, really young.
Yeah. He was never the biggest anyway.
No, exactly. Can you imagine him with little school kids?
Yeah.
He would have been tiny.
Yeah. So the first one was at Cagliari.
So what I'd done was all the flights had to go through Rome. So I had to fly London, Rome, Sardinia, watch the first game. Then after that, Sardinia, Rome to Tunis, watch that game. Tunis, Rome, Sardinia, and then halfway up the island to watch the second friendly. And then I had to fly home because back months before, my sister had said to me, she said, "Oh, I'm getting married in the summer." She said, "Don't worry, Rob, I've done it out the football season." And as she said, "I've done it for Mum's birthday, which is the beginning of June." And I'm still strangling her, saying, "You stupid, don't you realise the World Cup's on this year? The same as every 4 years So luckily enough, the wedding didn't clash. It was the day before the first game, so I had to fly home for my brother-in-law's stag do and her wedding, and then fly back out for the start for the Republic of Ireland game.
Wow.
So I'd sort of done like 8 flights, I think, before the World Cup had even started.
Just touching on that Cagliari one, for those that don't know, England won that 6-0, but you were the only England fan there, weren't you?
Yeah. What I didn't realise is basically when they did announce them, and I sort of noted down the fixtures and all that, and then because of trouble and things like that, they literally made it behind closed doors, and I turned up there, and I tanned really quickly. Within a few days, I can look, and during the tournament, they kept throwing me back in the Italian, part of the tube I was travelling on and things like that because I looked like one of them. So I was quite lucky in the fact that they let 300 locals in, and I was able to sneak in with the 300 locals to watch the game. So I was the only England fan there, apart from obviously the press.
I mean, now we hear of England games being scheduled well in advance. How did you even find out this game was going on?
I don't know. It must have been a sort of a 2-line thing in the Standard or something like that I'd noted down, and it wasn't well publicised, that's for sure. And it wouldn't have been obviously no websites. There's no, I didn't go on the Team Talk or whatever the expensive phone lines were in them days. You remember, Club Call for the club, weren't it?
Yeah.
And so it must have been a little 2-line snippet somewhere in a newspaper somewhere, because that's the only way you got the information. I sort of jotted it down. Thought, I'll go to them. Let's sort out down the travel agents, book out the flights.
Yeah. Was that Ross Travel again?
No, it wasn't. It was a woman, Josie, who used to do the travel for Bobby Robson in the day. and
Okay.
I mean, a couple of times when it was quite hard, like the CIS game in '91, I went with her there,
Right.
and yeah, so I contacted her because I'd actually come across her and met her through other people, and she was able to sort out the flights for me.
It's good to have people in the know.
Mm.
You've been to see that one. You came realising that you got a wedding coming up, your sister's wedding. You've got to go back and forth. Obviously, you obviously haven't booked these flights in advance, have you? Or if you've got to do it on the hoof?
What's that? All the ones for the friendlies?
Well, yeah, you've booked those ones knowing England are going to be there. But then when your sister announced that she's going to be getting married.
Oh no, that was she gave me 6 months' notice or something like that. You know what I mean? But she could have picked the Republic of Ireland, England. I think it might have been on a Sunday or a Monday or something like that. But she could have literally picked any day that there was a game. There was a game on. But she got married again, a few years later, and she done it on the same day as England Scotland. So I boycotted that. Went to England Scotland, of course, because I was on a run.
Went down well, did it?
It did actually, really, because you don't like me that much. And to be fair, it's a standing joke in our family that any wedding I don't go to tends to last, but the ones I make the effort to and go, like her first one, don't last. So it's sort of like a thing. Oh, Rob can't come. What day can we do it? What day can we do the wedding on? Like, yeah. But there was that talking about that second friendly. They done a little publicity thing, whereas I think it was Steve McMahon.
Yeah.
Scored an own goal in the first minute for them to go 1-0 up as a thing, like scoring, violence. Something like violence is like scoring an own goal, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a thing that was all in all the papers that basically, just to put a point across, like, that is. So they were 1-0 up, and it ended up, I think, 13-2 or something like that. I mean, and the only people that actually went to that one was the people I'd met in Cagliari, that turned up early. That, I said, I'm going up to friendly, and they come with me. But no one else would have gone to that either.
Because they just weren't aware of it?
Yeah, just weren't aware of it. It's only because I sort of like talking to a few lads, having a few drinks once I got back. And, I said that I'm going up there, and they come along with me. And I think it was about 20 of us, something like that. Wow. But otherwise, other than that, there wouldn't have been anyone there either.
Well, that then brings us to the World Cup of 1990. It's been well documented how England fans were treated over there. Were you on like the campsites?
I was actually, funny enough. We was just down from if that bloke had done the they took the camera round. We must have been literally a couple of miles further away, because the England team stayed just up the road from us. And I know he got up in a microlight and flew around, didn't he? And I reckon I was a couple of campsites, or a couple of miles down the road from where he was, just down from the south of where the England players stayed in all their luxury.
Yeah. I
was thinking about the other day, actually, that there was a booze ban on the day of the game, but either side as well. It was the day before. It was like a 3-day booze ban for every game. It was the day before, the day of the game, and the day after.
Which didn't go down well, I'm sure.
No, especially on a campsite with nothing to do. Kick a football about, do a bit of sunbathing, but that was about it. There was nothing else to do. But no beer as well. I can't remember us actually getting round it either. I think we actually, there was a shop on site, and that was it. And they didn't sell it, I think. There was a bar on site, and that was about it.
Well, we eventually got off the island, didn't we, and went to the mainland.
What I'd done was again, I pre-booked a flight. So I looked at the 3 places that we could go, obviously belong to where we went, and 2 other places, and I just booked a flight for right in the middle of them, and it happened to we flew to Milan about 8 o'clock in the morning. The next morning, and then we got the train to Rimini, and we was literally the first ones in Rimini, because we got such an early. Yeah, so we got just got booked a hotel. There are thousands of hotels there. You just booked a hotel there, easy as anything.
Yeah.
And then over the next 2-3 days, everyone was getting a ferry over and whatever. And then it was quite, there was quite a lot of fans there in the end.
I mean, I know you've been obviously following England for a long time. 1990. I mean, I guess I probably look at it through rose-tinted glasses. But was that probably a pinnacle, or has it been better since?
It's been better, but I was 21 at the time. Yeah. So you're 21, first World Cup, and literally, we get to a semi-final, and you're thinking, oh, dear me, with a bit of luck, in the next couple of years, we could actually win this competition. 40 years later, or whatever it is, I'm still thinking to myself, maybe I was a little bit optimistic with that suggestion of being able to win a World Cup. But I thought, it's a good starting point, semi-final, knocked out on penalties. That, in years to come, that we could actually win this tournament. But next time we didn't even qualify.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, and here we are, as you say, like 40 odd, more 36 years later. Yeah, and
that's when most people really got into football. It completely changed at Chelsea, I must admit. We didn't have a lot of crowds anyway, but then the following season, it was like a catwalk, the amount of women that was there. I was like, this is a blokes only game, and then you got all these women here. I thought, this is good.
That time sort of changed. You saw the change.
You saw the change between end of one season and the beginning of the next season. It was, it's unbelievable. And I got home and bloke at work was saying, his girlfriend was dragging him down the pub to go to the games where he wasn't really into football. He soon got into it because of her.
I mean, just before we cut off, I mean, are you going this year?
Yeah, I'm going this year. I finally actually got my tickets, paid for my tickets yesterday, actually.
Yeah, I heard that was they were all coming out now. Oh, well, Rob, great to speak on this first episode. I don't know how many we're going to get through, but we've got a lot to talk about, and hopefully the next one we can start obviously shortly after 1990. England took a trip to pretty much the furthest place you can go on the globe, isn't it? There was a tour of Australia and New Zealand. You
and Malaysia, of course,
and Malaysia. You've done that one, so well,
that was quite unique, really, because obviously, mostly in Europe, and then every 4 years you've got a chance of a half decent tour, and that one was absolutely perfect.
Nice one. We'll chat about that next time.
Okay, no worries.
Rob, great to speak to you. Yeah, we'll speak again.
Yeah, catch up soon.
Thank you so much to Rob there for his time. Love speaking with him and hearing those stories. You'll be pleased to know that I've already recorded the next part. I'm in the process of editing that conversation up at the moment. So that will be with you at some point. Just make sure you're subscribed and you'll not miss it. Thank you so much for listening. It is always appreciated. It's never taken for granted. As I say, if you've enjoyed it, why not give it a rating at your podcast provider? It does help with getting it in front of more ears. So let's leave it there. I will be back with you very soon with some more England-related content, and I hope you can join me for it. So until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.